Hello everybody, welcome to our webinar. I hope that you can hear me, I hope that you can see me. My name is Mike and I'm a teacher for VizAcademy. VizAcademy is an online school that will teach you how to create beautiful renders in less than 7 weeks, and now we also have AI and animation panels in the curriculum. So if you want to sign up, go for this. And guys, welcome again. I am back. It's been a while. So today we're going to be working with our student scene, and that's going to be Olga Włodarczyk. She is an amazing person and also an amazing student, very talented, and we're going to be recreating this shot with some small changes because we're going to take the liberty of using the current technology. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, if everything is okay, because we're going to be continuing our journey throughout the we're going to be talking a lot, so make sure to let me know if you can actually hear me. Now, let's continue because today we're going to be doing this in a very similar way to how we always do things, but we're going to also sprinkle it with the newest technologies and some of those cool things like VizAcademy Maker. So VizMaker is going to be a huge thing for us because AI is currently one of the elements of our regular workflow, and we have to accept it because it's helpful, it's good, and I think it's going to be thank you very much, Audio 5x5. So I'm going to say that it means good, and thank you so much. So the last minute I changed the scene, so guys, bear with me. I know it's different than it's supposed to be, or it's different than the thumbnail but was before, but that doesn't change the thing that we're going to be having fun. So all of you will be able to get this floor plan. Just to follow along, you need to go to our posts tab. This is going to be posted right after our webinar is concluded, and remember, we're not sure if we're going to be keeping this webinar on our website, I mean on our YouTube channel. Depends how it goes and how much you like it, so let's see it. So the things that we need to analyze, because we're obviously going to be working in a more creative way, so those things are typically going to mean that we have to take some liberties, and today we're going to be creating textures, materials, and we're going to be building the whole scene, making sure that we also follow one very important rule. If something is difficult, we have to find a way how to either automate it or how to fix it in post. Hi, hello, Savan. Thank you very much. I'm kind of cool, and if you probably know it, but for those of you that don't know, I've recently became a father, and I didn't know that it's so cool, and I am really loving it. So that's one of the things I am absolutely thrilled about. So there's also a couple of objects that we're going to be using as pre-mates, but we're also going to be cannibalizing some other objects or some other scenes to just make sure that we speed up the process so we don't necessarily get stuck. And this is also partially going to be the part of the workflow. So let's get into it, because I think this is the time where I stop talking as much and start clicking a little bit more. So I'm going to again start, thank you, I'm going to again start with a classical plane, so we don't need to go through any sort of additional steps such as extrusions and so on. We're still going to be adding something of that kind. For example, it could be that we will be using a shell, or we're going to be actually using extrude ourselves, but we're going to be loosely basing our interior on what we see here. It doesn't have to be super precise at the moment, because remember, this is counted as a creative endeavor and we're going to be treating this as such. So now there are supposed to be really nice arches in here, and because this is the floor plan that I makeshifted last minute, I'm going to be giving you all the measurements as we go. So first thing, this is going to be an arch, and this is the inner arch. This is where the bench is going to be located, and that's what we're going to be working with. So congrats, how is Render doing? Thank you for asking. He's great. He also is very friendly to the child, so I must say that I never imagined that it's going to be such a, I would say, convenient thing in my life. I cannot really call it any other way. It's just nice, convenient. I love it. It's fantastic. And I love the fact that Render is literally just watching my son as he eats, as he sleeps, and he's often just watching him guarding. That's amazing, really, like the dream come true. Hello, can you show me how to make the texture look realistic in 3ds Max Corner Render and how to do it, do the lighting if you don't mind? Obviously, yes, sub, and we're going to be doing that, but over time. So it means that we have to build towards the moment where we will be making our lighting realistic. So from my calculations, it basically is that we're going to have windows on 415 height, because again, this is supposed to be a full floor plan thing, but I'm going to just show you the hunga bunga way because I think it's going to be just as fun. So this is again to show you the quick techniques to make sure that we click on the elements that we're interested in and we only use the tools that we absolutely need to. So no extras just because we can click. Okay, so now I'm going to be copying this arch to make sure that it's basically where the window is supposed to be, and we basically just created the majority or the key elements of this whole thing. Now, I don't want to go inside the editable spline and reattach everything. So I'm going to go ahead and create a rectangle, non-auto grid, but I'm going to turn off the start a new shape. This way, going to the front view, so the left top view, which is supposed to be by default the front, we're going to see, hello to you too. Now we're going to see that it's very easy to create that element, but there is a bit of a plot twist here. You can see that my circle was created in a different position than this element. So what do we do in this case? I typically tell my students that we don't use our snap toggle too much. So I'm going to say, yes, we don't, but sometimes we kind of want to have an ability to hatch two elements. So how about we right click on the snap toggle, vertex, midpoint, that's it. Now enable axis constraints, and this way we're going to be able to click on one of the axes and just move the elements as we speak. So I'm just going to be moving it here, but pressing S is also going to give us the ability to grab it and put it exactly where we need it to be. Now I'm going to create a copy because you know that there are also the inner parts of this element. So copy. And this should do it. Now we move it slightly forward and I'm going to be selecting those two and we're going to be doing some sort of outline here. So in this case, I'm just going to outline this by approximately 30-25% centimeters and delete-o. So now we've got two elements. This is also a very good technique to create any kind of ceilings. So first you put your main ceiling and then you add the splines and only then you add the extrusion or shell because we shall save time. And again, it's going to be nice and easy way of working with 3ds Max. So here we don't care if the elements intersect as long as we don't do it the wrong way, because you can see that the smaller element is going to be poking through the bigger one. So depending on what areas you want covered, we're going to be doing exactly that. So now we can delete that boxo and we can continue. And now With those objects selected, I will be able to accomplish another small task, which is basically selecting the thickness of my window. So a little bit of that and a little bit of this. Now we're going to unhide all, and we've got the second part. So I'm just going to move it and adjust its thickness to make sure that it's big enough. Now, you're going to probably ask, hey, what about those elements on the right and left side? Those are definitely too big. And you're absolutely right. We're going to be editing them in a second. Also, because our building needs to have some sort of height, we're also going to be adding shell modifier. And this shell modifier is basically just us going some kind of value. In my case, it's going to be 505 centimeters to make sure that everything is nice and cozy. There is a little bit of a glitching going on here, and that is due to two possibilities. Either it's the object having too many vertices in one place overlapping, or some elements do have different or rogue smoothing groups. First thing we do to test our theory is just add smooth modifier. If it clears it out, it's done, we can continue. Do you approve a Revit whole building modeled plus 3ds Max retouch plus Corona to achieve a final render? Thanks. Do I approve? Yes, I do get that. You mean, do I do it as a service or approval of that? No, we don't do that. But do we work with Revit models? And yes, because that's part of the job. Hello, can you show me how to make the texture look realistic? I do think you already asked about it, sub, and I'm going to repeat that. Yes, we're basically doing it, but I'm not going to jump ahead of our webinar. So please hold on to your horses, because we're definitely going to be also working with that. So here we have two splines barely visible. That's because our background is white. So probably gray could be a little bit better, but once we select it, it's going to become red. And at this point, I'm not going to care any longer. So let's make sure to scale it down to fit the window itself. And in this case, again, I'm just going to be roughly eyeballing the elements. I want this part to be below 0 because it's going to be basically a window that's reaching outside. Or if we don't want to, we can just put it slightly above the ground, which is kind of going to be even smarter. The second window, I don't want to play with it and guess what type of scale I did. So I'm just going to copy it, because that's going to help me solve the mystery of a second window. Now we go for extrusion, and we basically just align this with our wall. Again, we don't need to be super precise in 3ds Max, although all the architects and perfectionists are always a little bit salty about it. What is beautiful about 3ds Max, in my opinion, is that you really can let go of some of the finer details, because if you're going to be focusing too much on some of the nitty-gritty parts of your interior, exterior rendering, it is going to devour you, and at some point you're going to be burned out, because you basically, instead of being creative, need to care about elements such as sampling or some sort of setting, rogue or bizarre settings such as for example, IOR. I mean, it's important, but being knowledgeable in theories such as Fresnel, it's just stupid. I mean, we're artists to some extent, and I hate when people think that they absolutely need to be knowledgeable in all fields at all times. It's fun. I mean, I'm not going to say that being educated is something that I wouldn't, let's say, be proud of. You should be, but let's be honest, nobody cares if you know about all of those things. I mean, in the long run, it's all about what is the let's say end result of your work and your talent. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. Now, I'm just adjusting the elements because I think it's going to be kind of cool. Now, I'm also going to show you easy, but I think also important thing that you can do with your models whenever you're going to be creating arches in your scenes. Often you're going to see a bit of a problem. Well, this arch is good quality, but let's just imagine that we haven't made it out of spline, or we did, but it doesn't have enough quality. One thing we can do if it's made out of spline is just type in 24 in interpolation, and that way we're essentially just making it much cleaner and a little bit better looking. So let's say that's not an option and this object is already converted to editable poly or other way. Okay, so what's the deal here? All we need to do here is select the element, go to ring, and do the same thing for the second element. So to both rings. Now we can deselect the bottom, and this again, it's a bit rough, I know, but all we need to do is apply a little bit of chamfer. Make sure that those chamfers do not touch, because that's going to make them weird. We just want to make sure that we have enough density here so it looks good enough. And in this case, our viewers are unable to tell which one is which. Both have specifically perfect quality, and it's going to just mean that we saved a ton of time rebuilding the whole element. Well, you will care about modeling when you have to work on someone else's file. I mean, yeah, you prefer to model all again in 3ds Max if the building comes already BIM modeled in Revit. So Jose, that's one of those things that we have to think about as a case-to-case scenario. You cannot just put all models in one basket, calling them bad, because very simply put, it's going to come down to how close are you going to get to the building? How much are we going to work with that one element that it needs to be shown? Oh, let's apply to view. Okay, I just needed to clear that out because it's going to be confusing. Now, if we're going to have our model and it's a big building, right? It's some kind of house or some kind of skyscraper. You're probably going to get good enough model, and viewing it in your viewport from a distance, you don't need to get into all the screws and nice details, and just fixing the elements that stand out will be enough, especially if those parts are crucial for the design. But going for the full model, remodeling everything, that sounds like a lot of wasted time. So I typically take the model to see what's good, what's bad. I very often change the windows because they're typically very bad quality or too dense, and I leave out the main walls and maybe add some details when it's needed. But I never, ever, ever allow myself to get lost in that crazy idea of, well, I need everything to be built out of scratch by me by hand, because otherwise I'm not a real artist. And this was my train of thought when I was a beginner. I absolutely needed to make sure that everything that's in my scene is going to be built by me. And I wasted so much time. Don't do it. Now, if you have any questions extra, go for it, ask them in. We're going to answer all of them. So now I need to see the reference. Here, you can see that we've got another nice arch in here that I kind of forgot about, so we're just going to grab this one and scale it into the position. Well, this object has a second part already in it. So what can I do with a model like this? Well, most of the time we're not going to even bother with remaking it or well, making it possible to use, because honestly it would be a waste of your time. But what we want to make sure of is that the quality and the size matches. So in this case I kind of need it to be a bit smaller, so I'm just going to, well, scale it down or move parts a little little bit lower. So this is going to be the part that I'm going to be scaling towards. So to scale this way, all I need to do is move the pivot real quick and scale it down. So it's again just for us in we're working in a creative way. So what is the difference between let's say technical and creative? Well, creatively, you can kind of cheat. You don't need to even care about some of those elements whenever you want to be efficient. Now, what do we do with this part? Potentially, we could just use delete, but that's not going to work the way we want. That's what I use slice modifier for, and typically it's the fastest really, because if my models are simple, and I know for a fact that this one is, I'm just going to remove the positive, and here I'm going to click on the cap, and suddenly I don't need to go through the whole editable poly, because in this case, it's all already here. Maybe let's put it slightly higher because it's going to look better. Okay, now I forgot about one teeny detail, and that's the floor. So let's put it in. I'm not going to be modeling the whole thing today because I want to quickly jump to the rendering as quickly as we humanly can. So we're just going to give this scene a little bit of a push, and we're just then going to start doing our cool work with both AI and a little bit of extras that are built in Corona and other systems. So this thing is going to go down. One additional tip for all of you beginners. Once you have your floor, you're probably most likely, if you're working with 3ds Max, will be adding floor generator to your object. This is again something that a lot of you heard already, but I really want to put emphasis on this. Put -1 on your main floor object. Once you do this, you're going to be adding your floor generator or whatever tiles you're going to go for. And once that is done, ensure that you have predictable results. So I'm going to type in 0.95, and I'm going to be putting up the bevel of 0.5. So what does this give me? It gives me certainty that whatever I do in my scene right now, I'm always going to have the top of my floor exactly on 0, meaning that any object that I put 0 is going to be exactly on the floor. Again, it's not a big deal. It's not something that's going to be groundbreaking, but you can imagine how much time you're going to be wasting if your floor is going to be set up on 200 centimeters, 205. Now, 205 and extra. So you're always going to be going up and down, guessing where to put your sofa, or you can just put it as, let's say, something that you always remember about, the -1, then you just continue. And that is going to be a bit of a tip that I believe saves a ton of time. Another thing that I love doing, especially with my floor objects, once I'm done with them, all I do with an object like this is I specifically create one layer just for the floor. I make sure to name it the right way. And either I'm going to be freezing this object like this, so it's not going to be problematic, or I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to display this object, specific object, as box, because often whenever we're going to be working with 3ds Max, having anything in your scene that's going to be rectangular shape and trying to select it if your floor isn't frozen, it's going to be a total nightmare. You're going to be over selecting. It's going to be a little bit hard to look at the scene because this is all geometry. Not every floor is going to be done or made with floor generator, but this is somewhat of an industry standard. This is what most of the people will do. So this is also going to help the most of you. And let's go ahead and continue. Now we're going to be freezing our floor for a second, and we're basically ready to change this floor into something that makes sense. Now, there's another tip following the first one. You see, whenever we do that -1 floor thing, there's always going to be a small gap between your zeroed out walls and the floor. So it is also generally a good practice to make sure that you select your object, and once you're done with positioning your floor and whatever, you just add an extra. This extra is just so you can cap or close the bottom. So what does this mean? Again, we're going to be using S. We grab this part here and we can just go from left to right, making sure that we have some sort of an object that will be closing our interior. Now, again, you don't need to be super precise with it. Make sure that all you do is put it below your main floor, but it doesn't have to be anything else. I mean, it's not going to be visible, it's just for the shot, and in this case we ensure that it's gray or black. Gray because if it's going to be blue, there's going to be a little bit of blue color coming from below your floor. And again, we're just going to do this real quick. Just gray it out or black it out. Both options are absolutely okay. Now, I just need to make sure that this spline also drops a little bit lower so it intersects with my floor. And again, we basically did the most of the work that I would call difficult, because now we're going to be probably following some sort of client's brief. So hey, how are you? I am absolutely loving the fact that you guys are still coming to watch me perform those simple interiors. So looking absolutely amazing here. So let's continue. Now, so Diara, tell me, how are you? How have you been? What are you up to these days? Tell me a little bit more. I would love to hear how your projects are going. Now, here we will be doing another trick. So depending on how and what type of lighting we're going to be adding to our scene, you want to either create a shape or just a literal box or plane on the ceiling. If it's going to require you to have some kind of openings or details, I recommend you to create a shape, and then just like that, we're going to be able to draw additional circles, and this way, if we need to, we're going to be extruding it just like we did with our walls. In this case, I don't need to do it, so I'm not going to get into that much detail, but it's definitely going to be helpful. Hi, I've been modeling for a few months. Would you be able to rate my render? Christopher, yes, I think we're going to be able to do that, but I would love to do some sort of work review to give you just tips on how to, let's say, go further with your work. I'm also thinking about hey, hello Barbara, how are you? I remember that icon now. Hey, nice. Hi Mike, I am Pallavi from India. You have really great skills. The way you explain it, I truly appreciate. Thank you so much. Just a small query: how to move gizmo in a single object? The best way of moving a gizmo is pressing insert on your keyboard. So let's just put something that will help you guys. Now, if I press insert on my keyboard, this is going to allow me to move it's a shortcut for the hierarchy effect pivot only. So now I'm moving the gizmo. So the gizmo is moved, I turn off, so press the insert again, and this way my object is now going to be rotating along the gizmo. Again, it's just easier. Bonus tip: plus and minus is going to make it smaller and bigger. So for those of you that kind of need more space in their viewports, go ahead and use that. Okay. Now let's go ahead and continue. I think we're kind of ready for the furniture, because let's be honest, all the walls are done. I kind of also need windows, so I think we're going to be adding them. Okay, so how do we do windows real quick? I think we're going to just convert this object to the bow poly. I'm going to be grabbing one of my shapes, ring, and you know what? No, we're just going to do this. Deselect the top view, because I am going to just create shape from selection, linear, okay. We made sure that there's a lot of dots in there, so I'm not going to be getting into that too much. Now, once this is done, we're just going to affect pivot only center just so it's easier for us to move. And here we go to renderability, and we can now add some sort of rectangular shape. So let's ensure that this also makes sense. 3 centimeters by 15, and I don't care that it goes inside of my window. It's actually going to be a plus. And now we just make sure that this again makes some sense. So I'm going to give it thickness by copying the element. I don't want to just add the thickness this way because I want those small details, because once I add additional chamfers or some other changes, it's just going to make this whole thing look a little bit better. Plus, it also allows me to now quickly work with additional parts, because now I can just auto grid off, grab this, connect to that. Oh my God, grab this, connect to that. Okay, now we're going to do something similar at the top and here and in here. That's the part where we use the middle. And now, depending on what we want to do with this window, I think it would be probably a good idea to look what she did in that window. So it was a little bit thinner, I'll give you that. But also we've got one big element, one small element. So we're just going to attach those. Okay, perfect. And I think we're just going to be changing one part just around 7, because this is going to mean that half of it is inside of the wall, half of it's inside. So I'm treating this as a half. Okay, so perfect. Now all I need to do is convert this to editable poly. And do what we care about details. I mean, most of the time we should, but this is a creative endeavor. So I'm just going to convert this object to editable poly. And here I'm just going to grab root that element, okay, and grab root this. Now, Mike, this is imprecise. One is a little bit on the right and one is a little bit on the left. Psych, no, because now I'm going to be going to this area, change the pivot to be selecting as a group. Now, once that is done, I'm going to also set the snap toggle, and I'm going to snap both of them at the same time to the middle. So basically, both of them are at the same distance. Again, if I change here to use only the gravity center of the certain element, this way I can scale those separately. Or if I'm going to need that, I can also scale them away from one another by doing the trick we just did a second ago. And now we just created a window that looks absolutely astonishing, and it's going to be good enough for our scene. Good enough is a really fun word, because what we are after is making sure that our viewers cannot tell if we spend a lot or just a little bit of time on that element. And in this case, we're going to make sure that it's impossible to tell. So due to, well, mostly quality of the shot, but you're going to be able to tell it yourself. Okay, so now done. And let's do the same for those windows. I mean, with shift, drag it. And here we kind of have a bit of a, my unofficial teacher, Abdullah, hey, make it official. If you like it, put a ring on it. Okay, that was such a lame joke. I'm so sorry, I just laughed of my own lame joke. Oh my God, something just blew up outside of my window. So, I think it's the, oh my God, they're removing the snow. Okay, so here we go. Window number 2 done. Window number 2 done. Okay, middle is actually better. That's why I love going for the middle and snap toggle, because it saves us so much time. Do you think it became lame after the AI? I miss struggling with adding imperfections, adding hours on materials, and test render, specifically the joy you get after finishing the render and it's perfect. I would say I kind of have that feeling as well, because it required a different set of skills. Now, it's not a bad thing, because I would say that at the moment, what is really cool about our industry is that there's no way that somebody is going to be snobbing you. Oh, I know how to do this material. Because, it's okay, but now I can kind of generate it. I'm going to try it 3-4 times, but I'm going to get there. And I don't need to be, let's say, humiliated by the fact that I don't have the specific knowledge of one obscure map that you know. And on one hand, that's bad because, well, I'm no longer the top quality, the only person in the world that can do it. But at the same time, what was the point of it? I mean, now when students, young people, and just enthusiasts can compete for number one spots in contests, they can grab bigger clients. This is perfect. This is a dream come true for me, like 15 years ago. When I was getting started, I was absolutely scared of the industry because there are so many good people out there. And still, there are. Don't get me wrong. The consistency that somebody with skills has is probably going to be still much better than what you're going to get if you're just getting started. But you getting started is no longer going to be something that you should be ashamed of. You should never be ashamed of, but let's call it scared, because a lot of times this was a very, very important factor. A lot of people were just getting a little bit afraid of 3ds Max and the whole industry. Drives all the it kind of does, but it also doesn't, because if everybody's going to have lower prices, less people are going to be doing it because it's no longer going to be a feasible way of earning. So if there's a scarcity of us, the 3D designers, because no longer people want to do it, the prices are going to go up because now we're so the market is going to be fine. And yes, if you're going to be doing everything the old way and you're not learning stuff like VizMaker and Shameless Blog. Again, VizMaker is a total game changer when it comes to 3D visuals, and let's just be on let's say this part of our journey before we finish the whole thing, right? Let's go to clay mode, and now let's say that you're working with an interior designer. You need to work on some of the details, you want to be very fast, and now we're going to be able to take the literal viewport to our VizMaker. Now you can see that because 3ds Max doesn't allow the save frames to be let's say taken to VizMaker, we have a solution. We press X, a floating viewport, and then you just select the camera you're interested in. It's camera 1 in my case, Shift F, and now we're going to be just changing the proportions of this window, so it basically just allows us to be perfect. We're going to make a plugin for this to make this seamless, but there are so many cooler things to add to VizAcademy VizMaker that I think we're probably going to be good at waiting a little bit longer. Now, again, it's just a viewport, so let's not get too excited, but view to render, create for realistic image. Now we're just going to be calling it, white ceiling, red walls, wooden parquet. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be a start. It's going to be enough to basically tell our clients that, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And in many cases, the, let's say, minus of our AI workflow is that sometimes it's going to be unpredictable. Sometimes we're not going to be able to tell what type of floor it's going to create. So that is why our skills are still going to be very important. There's no way where you're going to be, there's no scenario where you're fully replaced, because at that point, well, everybody is. And if everybody is on the same boat, well, then we're all screwed. But if it's just that we can work faster, prototype a little bit more, check some of the options a little bit further. By the way, this thing just added the exact same shape of lighting that we're going for, so I'm super satisfied with it. So this is basically what we're after, but this is just us getting started. Also, the floor is absolutely wrong, but you get the point. Now we continue building our scene. To again go through whether the part of our the 3ds Max part is dying out. I don't think so. We're still needed, and quite frankly, I never had more clients than I do right now. And this is weird because my clients do understand that some parts of my workflow is going to be supplemented with AI, but the actual trust, the skill set, and the reliability that they have, it's what they're paying for. So it's not about just the images, it's about your expertise, your ideas. This is so much more. And yes, in some cases, it's only about the image because there's some kind of scammy product that needs to be just shipped on Amazon and just create 15 versions of the same bottle because we're selling snake oil. You don't want to work with those people anyway. So in that case, I don't care because that... Are we back? Guys, I need your help. I need your help. Help me. Tell me if we're back, because that's going to be kind of important. Now, let's continue. Hello. Okay, we're back. Okay, thank you, Abdullah. I appreciate you. Now, at this point, we've got two options, guys, and I need your help in the chat to tell me, do we model furniture or go to rendering? Okay, starting a poll. Now vote for next 2 minutes, and I'm going to continue adding beams. Okay, Spotty signal is fluctuating. Okay, yes, we are back. Hey, please, can we get the plan you use? Yes, it's going to be in the post section on our channel, but right after we do this webinar, because I just haven't posted it yet. So hold on, it's going to be there, Cherf. Also, it's going to be in the link in the description of our elements. Okay, so far we've got mostly yes. So do we model the furniture or go to the rendering? So in this case, I'll give me more votes. You're lagging as heck. Agata, thank you very much. Agata, you're my bro as well. Do you paid tutorials about only lighting and materials? We kind of have the full package. We don't split it. Rendering, okay. So now how's it going? It's okay. So we basically continue with our furniture because there's just a little bit of it, so we can continue. With 17 votes, you guys said that do we model furniture? Yes. So in this case, we just go for it. So there's a little bit of furniture that we need to create. You can see that it's a sofa, it's some elements, a small curtain in this area, and 2 lights. So we're not going to be modeling any specific plants because that would be ridiculous, but we kind of want to have those elements in here, and I'm going to show you how to cannibalize the elements in the assets that we can download to make sure that we make them work in our scenes. So let's just go for it. Can you please help me how to get my first client? The best way of getting your first client is making sure that everybody around you knows what you're doing and who you are. So be active on your social media. Make sure that you have a portfolio to show, or if you don't have a portfolio, start doing work for your friends. Just some freebies. I can be your second client. Okay, so that sounds good. Snake Lobby came to the street. The big snake is watching. Okay, that okay, that was good. That was good. Thank you. Let's go. Sofa. We look for our sofa elements that we would like to use in our scene. So for example, I'm going to be looking for any soft seating elements that would suffice or fulfill my needs. And I don't need to be very precise with it, because all I need is to make sure that it's looking close enough. And in this case, this is almost good, but let's keep looking, because I am almost certain that we can find something that's going to be nearly perfect. And often it's going to be about just finding the right part of the model, or something that you found to just look good, and oh my god, we can use this. We can use this fully. You can see that I'm doing it for the first time. I don't even have those downloaded, so we're going to find out whether it works for us or not the same way. Oh, this one is even better. So I am starting making a portfolio recently. So that's the first step. Make sure you document your portfolio. Make sure that you're going to be posting, hey, look what I'm doing, or just go to the forums and talk to people that already are in the field, because it's not about you being the most perfect person ever, having the biggest, strongest portfolio ever. It definitely helps to have a strong portfolio, but being somebody that people want to be around, and somebody that people just want to genuinely work with, is the way of getting clients. Because most of the clients, if I kind of don't have the right way of communication with them, if the conversation is just not going well, maybe we'll cooperate, but it's not going to repeat. It's going to be a one-timer. And most of the time, it's exactly the way I describe it. If people that have, let's say, options and money, they don't care about the money part mostly. It's actually being surrounded by people you want to work with. Adults don't necessarily have many friends, I know, but the older people, they have business partners, and that's basically, or work friends, because the regular friends are not people that they're going to be seeing daily. So that's why they decide to have, most of the people look for those, let's say, fun to hang out with people in their work life, because that's what they will be that's where they are spending a lot of time currently, at work. Okay, so let's see, what else can we cannibalize from the models that I already downloaded? Okay, so I think those two will be a very good start. Remember that models that are from our from the Chaos Cosmos will be coming in form of proxy. So first thing you're going to be doing is clicking on full mesh on both of them. Now we can duplicate it to mesh, or we can just right click and enable in viewport and then convert this to editable poly, and that's it. I love your rendering. Okay, I'm starting making portfolio recently. Greetings from Azerbaijan. Thank you very much for watching. It's a pleasure to have you. Now, what we want to see is, what are those parts in here? What are they made of? How was this sofa built? And you can kind of tell that it's very easy to grab those parts if we want to. And since those models are available to us for free, just treat them as your freebies. So all that is just the elements that we will be using in our scene, because those are supplemented by the Chaos family. So we're just going to go ahead and detach this part. This is going to be the bench on the right side. okay, detached. We need those nice elements as well. So I'm just going to delete this, delete that. And this is basically the bench I needed, but I'm definitely going to be slightly changing it. Now, since this element is looking already almost perfect for my needs, now I'm going to do something that you're all going to say, what the heck? And it's absolutely okay to say that. Now, we're going to be either playing around with this with symmetry, and basically we're going to grab a part and we can just stitch it together so it's going to be a totally different sofa. Or I can just grab it, make this an into an armchair, remember, creative endeavor. Or I can flip it and make this into a sitting area. Instantly done. So again, I'm not going to be caring about nitty-gritty and topology in most of the cases, because topology these days is basically dead. Nobody cares about it, and as long as something looks okay, it's okay. That's all there is to it. Obviously, this is not going to be some sort of model that I'm going to be putting in front of my client if that's the product they're selling, but it's definitely going to be the easiest thing ever for me to just edit this real quick, add the legs or scale it down and up to make it fit my scene. And that's basically the part one of us cannibalizing some parts of the models at hand. So let's see, this is the sitting area. Okay, we need this to be slightly bigger. It's supposed to have just 3 ribs, but I'm going to keep it the way I have it because we're saving a bit of time. Okay, and now let's go ahead and move those elements together. Okay, you can kind of tell that this proportion is getting out of hand. I don't like it. So what we can do is grab the 3x3 or 4x4 modifier and just move those elements that I'm mostly interested in squishing because that's supposed to be thinner. If I'm just going to be scaling everything, it's not going to have the right proportions. Now, following the 4x4, it's no longer stretched into oblivion and it's no longer such a weird looking model. So let's continue, and we can continue by changing this to editable poly. Now we've got this model perfectly aligned in the position where we wanted it. I know it's supposed to have just 3 ribs, but you get the point. It's just to cannibalize the elements. Now we want to continue with those ribs, but here, and we want those nice elements and pillows to be also on our objects. So I'm just going to do exactly that. And why do you accept the cannibalism of other models? Mostly because it's a fast way of delivering. And I would say that delivery is the most important part of your work. I mean, having the audacity to not deliver something on time while somebody else's project, work, investment is reliant on your visuals is just the worst thing you can do to a client. So make sure that you always respect one thing, and that is the deadline. So I know it sounds very cool to say a deadline is very important, but think about it. The only reason why somebody is going to pay you a little bit more is making sure that you are a trustworthy person. It's not about whether you deliver the image. That's never the case. It's about whether you're going to deliver another element that is needed to build my business. So if that's the way you're going to start thinking about those things and you're going to treat this extremely seriously, this is going to be the first step towards you giving a little bit higher prices to your clients, because if they know they can trust you because you always deliver and you have a good track record of it. So for example, having some reference from your clients is always going to be a good thing to have. That's when that's when you start being successful. That's when people will start coming to you, because other clients will say, hey, this person, this guy, this woman delivered, and now I will be working with them again. So that's exactly what you need to do. That's exactly what you need to go for, okay? Hi, can I see poly counts? Sure. Polycounts definitely aren't going to be a problem for us in any case, because if we need to, we're going to just simply proxy or optimize the elements. So typically the poly count is something we're going to be caring about for smaller systems or smaller interiors. But if we exceed a certain value, and for me it's around 5 million, I'm going to start considering using proxies here and there. But it's mostly about making sure that we have somewhat a good idea of whether the scene is ridiculously thick and it's going to need some kind of small adjustment, or can we just go ahead and ignore some of the numbers. And in this case, we're ignoring them a little bit. I'm just repositioning my seats, because that way I know that they're not going to be too floaty. If we're going to put them too high up in the air, we're essentially going to be giving some bad ideas to our clients about the scale of the project. Now, the bench and at the back is supposed to be also having those elements here. So I'm just going to use this to, again, cannibalize the elements. So let's go ahead and do that. I don't need those pillows. I don't need you, and I don't need you. Perfect, we're done. But the proportions do not match what I needed. Oh no, what are we going to do? Well, I'm just going to move the parts that I want to be moved, and I'm going to scale the parts that I want to be scaled. And to have full control over the proportions, instead of just using scaling, I'm going to use 2x2 modifier to position the parts. And again, it's just about being smart with your tools, not spending too much time on trivial assets, because typically those are supposed to be somewhere in the back. You don't need to be super invested into editing them, or let's say disrespecting your 3D models and changing them to your needs is what they are made for. Just disrespect them. I mean, don't necessarily insult the people that created them, but they're definitely not going to cry over the fact that you edited some elements. So the only person that's going to be crying about it is the designer of the furniture piece, but who cares about that? I mean, we do, we're artists, but we're also supposed to be paying our bills. So let's go ahead and add some extrusion. Okay, looks good. Lower that a little bit, and we've got those small elements. Hold your Alt button to make sure that we've got those elements. Now, if we want to, we can also add 2x2 and push modifiers to just push the elements, or we can just select this, select maybe that, and maybe this if we really want to, and just make this a little bit bigger. Lower the distancing, and you can see that now I can just push it out to make it a little bit better looking. So basically we just made it so that it looks as if it was supposed to be done this way. As for the second part, we want to see it, so I'm not changing it. Okay, so let's delete this part. Funny, you can just use a plane to match the elements, or to scale them properly, well, to your liking. Now, bigger, perfect. Let's move you away if we're ever going to see you. And now we're done. We're basically at the point where every other furniture piece is just going to be me fiddling around with the elements in my scene. So let's do something that you're probably going to say, hey, I didn't know that this is so simple. So first we're going to do a carpet. Carpet, let's do it big, okay? Let's make it sure that it's not in the wall. This is supposed to be probably a little bit smaller. Let's just conveniently check the size. I'm totally not cheating by checking the original size of the carpet in the original scene by Olga Włodarczyk, our student. By the way, guys, did you know that VizAcademy is an online school that teaches you how to create photorealistic visualizations in less than 7 weeks? And we do have 2 different panels on interiors and exteriors that basically are connected. We do teach you animation, and we're expanding that right now. So basically I'm in the process of making the videos, but I'm really slow at it, and I will be uploading more soon. It's just that, well, I kind of need to do it. I perfectly learned how to make a texture, but then it's about editing the textures. I'm not able to do it like if I downloaded a sofa and I want to change its color. I want to do this. Please help me. Good. So stay tuned, because we will be able to go through exactly that. So let me just take a mental note how big this sofa is. I'm totally not writing that down on the piece of paper to just make sure that it's going to be easier for me in the future. I mean, in a second. So 360 to 60. Now, you see, we've got the same size. I'm going to put it here. So the carpets are super duper cool, and you do not download a 3D model of a carpet. Why do you not do that? Okay, 3D model carpet. Typically, if we look at any 3D models of a carpet, it's just going to be a box with a texture. So if we look at any texture or any carpet out there, this is not some kind of creative endeavor. We can just use a search by Google, and you're going to find billions of other carpets like that from different manufacturers. You just need to find one that's going to be positioned up front, and this is basically what you're going to be using as your texture. Or you can also use Chaos Cosmos, which has a specific part, or let's say specific category in fabrics and materials that's going to be basically carpet. So carpet, okay. Not downloaded, just online. And you see there are good starting points for your future carpets. Just be on the lookout that some of those materials are going to be done by a monkey, and we'll be using the real world map size, which is an equivalent of a 3-planar map, but done by a monkey. So let's not get into it, because I'm going to get a little bit annoying to those people that actually worked on it. So we do this, convert this object to a double poly. We apply a bit of magic, so we do this. And because I'm extremely lazy when it comes to objects like this, I just add a small element on the edges. And why do I even bother adding those that whole geometry to my interior? Well, most importantly, because I'm going to be adding also turbo smooth. But Mike, this is ridiculous. Why make a carpet that has 13,000 polygons? Because now I can go to poly modeling, and at the very bottom, I'm going to be adding push-pull values. And by changing that, I can kind of make it more realistic. Also, by changing the values I'm going to be using, so push me by 1 or 2 centimeters, and brush size, let's say 10. We're just going to be adding those small imperfections. If I really want to make sure that those are going to be matching my scene, I will probably start drawing on the carpet once I have the coffee table and all the rest. So this is going to be kind of important. And the border protection was just so I have this nice element out here. Also, what I like doing is selecting the border, capping it, and going for inset at this very moment. Why would I even bother with that as well? Because now I'm deleting it, and now I've got a little bit softer corners, which is basically a carpet. Come on, let's not make it too difficult. Okay. Effect pivot only, we put it slightly below the object, just slightly, put it on 0, and now we know exactly that this carpet is on the floor, on our planks, and it's no longer going to be a problem ever because it's done. So this is how I would approach a regular carpet. No additional changes are needed unless you want to add a noise modifier with 1515 and some scaling on XYZ. Just deselect this, and now suddenly we have a little bit neatly repositioned carpet. So you just want to give it a bit of a go to make sure that it looks more natural, but it's basically here, right? So it's a carpet. Now, again, I want to go to the rendering part. Your modeling is so smooth, thank you very much. I think this is how modeling is supposed to be, because again, it's about making sure that whatever we do is not difficult. We don't want to be by any chance working with something that takes us too much time. If a model is taking you too much time and you are creating design for the interior, probably it would be a better idea to even commission that model, work on some other specific elements, and get back to it once you have the model. Because let's be honest, who has time for that once you're working with your client? Now, okay, I think this is enough for us, the modeling part. Now I'm going to steal some elements from the original scene to make sure that we don't spend too much time today on the elements, because basically the furniture, the elements are done. I think it's good to start working on our materials just so you can appreciate the scene a little bit more. I mean, oh yeah, there's such an appreciation is needed. I mean, we're just moving on to the next step because at this point, if I continue, it's going to take us the whole night. I mean, won't, but you get the point. We're just moving on. Okay, did I grab everything I needed? I think so. Basically, we're just going to file, save, save selected. You haven't seen this. We clicked through everything and we spent a lot of time doing it. So that's it. How can we acquire the VizMaker? Oh, thank you for the question. So first of all, we go to Store, Microsoft Store, and the first thing you want to go through is, well, searching. VizMaker is already available in Microsoft Store. This kind of helps you avoid blah, 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 blah. Cancel. Thank you. Thank you. Get away. Okay, so this allows you to avoid going through multiple websites, and it kind of is already on your system. So you just install it and open it. Then you need to make an account to start using it. But for all of you guys that are going to be using the trial version, there's a week-long trial with a couple of points for you to play with. So I strongly recommend you to test it out. Also, if you're going to be out there, kind of rate this, because why not? If you like it, obviously, I'm not forcing you to do stuff that you don't like. File, import, merge. Let's merge those elements that we totally did model all the way. It's just that at some point we didn't have enough time, and I kind of want to start rendering already. Olga, hello, Veram, thank you very much for coming in. Okay, as I said, perfect modeling, no problems there. Okay, so all the parts of our interior are basically done. So now it's time for the lighting. Before we commence, we can again test whether this scene is going to look good in VizAcademy Maker or not. But I think we're going to just continue building the scene up until we get the colors, and then we do post-production, and I'm going to show you something very cool in VizAcademy Maker. So let's go ahead and just do it. So first thing we do is make sure that we add a material override. The material override is supposed to be just a simple Corona physical material. Nothing fancy about it. Most of the time, whenever you're going to be doing this exact move, your scene is not going to be looking very good, because at this point you will have no environment. So let's make sure that it's fair and reset all the settings. So settings reset, start interactive, we have nothing. I mean, we should have nothing, and we don't. So the first thing I'm going to be doing, because in this case I want to work with regular easy setup. The material override, as I said, Corona physical. So this way I'm not going to care about the colors and hues at the moment. I'm going to be caring about the reflections and lighting. So for the lighting, we're going to be using Corona Sky. Or we could use an HDRI, but I think Corona Sky is the better choice most of the time, because it gives us very consistent results, and most importantly, it's going to be available to all of you. Plus, it's extremely flexible way of working with 3ds with Corona. So we're just going to go for that. Then we go to Corona and we added the Corona Sun. Oh my god. And in here, I'm just going to be adding the sun at a certain angle. If you want to change the angle, go for it. I'm just going to go for something that's going to be, let's say, putting a little bit of that extra light or extra brim on my window. So let's just put it here, a little bit lower. Love it. Now, here we basically just made the full lighting look absolutely amazing. But there is a couple of things that I want to change. First thing is the intensity of the sun itself, because once we work with that, okay, so in this case, we want to make sure that in this particular scene, we're going to be using a little bit weaker sun. And I want this to be not overwhelmingly strong. That's what I mean by weak. But at the same time, I want this to be nicer and softer as the object. So let's make sure to create both, let's create two suns at the same time. And the second sun is going to be a little bit of a trick. So you're going to see how it works. Let's put it outside, and now while rendering, we're going to be just creating the second sun as is. So copy the sun. Why your voice is lagging? I have no idea why my voice might be lagging. Is it that bad? Is it that bad? Maybe it's because of rendering, but this never happened during our webinars that way. So I'm just going to stop rendering if I'm going to have something important to say. Now, intensity of both of our suns need to be lowered. So first I'm going to go for 0.1, 0.2, 15 maybe. So that way I'm going to be lowering that. Copy it as a sun number 2. We select one of the suns and we go for a 15 or 5, 10, depending on what we want. So I'm going to test the 5 first. You can see that what it did, it added a super cool natural looking sun effect to all of my area. First of all, the main shadow is softer, but also neatly and sharply drawn. But at the same time, the second sun is softening absolutely everything, making it look a little bit more dreamy. Instantly, I can work with my bloom and glare. So bloom and glare is going to be instantly added to the shot. I want this bloom to be around 50, but it's definitely too strong. So I'm going to go for 0.05 or 0.1. So this way I still have the dreaminess in the windows, but I no longer need to do anything about the rest of the shot. Now, to fix the fact that I have no lighting in this area is very dull, I'm going to create 2 additional lights. Those are just going to be Corona lights that I will be only strategically putting into 2 or 1 window. So first, let's go to a simple disk. Let's make it nice and big. And I'm going to be putting this slightly outside. Let's not go too far with the size. By the way, you can see that the sun seems to be tiny. The sun size is not going to be dependent, sun's intensity and how it works is not going to be dependent on the size of the gizmo. It's just a global effect, so you can do whatever. And the further we stretch it, the bigger it becomes. It's just a constant proportion, so don't be bothered by that. Now we target this light and put it in front of the second window, so we've got this here, and I'm going to be putting it slightly below. just so it shoots the light inside. A slight directionality, not too much. And now what we're going to see is that we've got a little bit of that extra lighting out there. So again, let's not go too far, not too intense, and we're just going to be lowering it just so we have a little bit more of that effect. If, for example, our window is going to create this not so good shadow, we can instead use another way of dealing with this and just put our light literally inside, make it weaker than before, just super subtle, nice, soft, but also we're going to be putting off all of the options in it. So this way we have enough lighting on our ceiling, so the shot looks nice and fresh, but at the same time, we're just going to be doing that. Cool double sun trick, never seen anyone do this before. I mean, probably somebody did, but glad you like it. So the double sun is just so that we fake a little bit of clouds, a little bit of volume in the sky. It's a very simple thing. You just don't want to do this because at that point it's going to look ridiculous and we have two suns that make no sense. So just make sure that those are in the same or very similar position. Oh, I noticed one thing. I have an object in the wall, so the copying wasn't a 100% success. Oh, there's an object missing. We're probably going to fix that in a second, but I don't care about it yet. Okay, so now we've got those elements. The lighting is cool. We can block a little bit of light on the right side because that's way too much for me. So in scenario like this, we are allowed to put a fake curtain in here, and by fake curtain I mean a box. We're just going to neatly put out some of that light. We can just cut it like this, and the viewer is just going to think, okay, that's how it is, that's all there is to it. So because it's outside of the viewer spectrum, remember that whenever we're going to be working with our interiors, you have to take into consideration that a typical artist, a typical photographer is also going to be taking those liberties, closing, shutting windows, moving around the light boxes. There's a lot of that out there. And yes, hi, Lava Gaming. Okay, let's go. Cool double trick. Sir, whenever I add material to an object, it appears gray in the viewport. So can you please tell me how to correct it? And I have learned a lot from you each very well. Thank you. So if it appears gray at the moment, remember that we also set up our material override. Material override is for the sake of not getting into all the materials at once, because if we do, we're going to get confused. So we want to first set up our lighting. Once the lighting is done, we're then going to set up the key materials in our scene first. So by key materials, I mean we're going to grab the walls, and that's one of the super duper key materials that we want to have, because we first select the elements that will have the biggest elements, or the biggest impact, the biggest impact on our scene. So I'm just going to go ahead and add the color first. So the color is going to be slightly neatly and easily set up. Let's go for something that's not going to be too hard to see, or too hard to get your way. I mean, it's just some values. I mean, I'm just going for nice brown. That's what I'm going to call it. In hue saturation values, I'm 140 something, and value just midway, because I don't want this to be too strong. Okay, and now once we have that, I'm going to also grab a roof. Thank you for all those likes I'm getting. By the way, guys, like and subscribe, you know, YouTube rules. Make sure to help us grow the channel. Hi Mike, I hope you're doing well. Did you ever orc in Exhibition Expo like? Yeah, I just recently did, and yeah, I did a lot. I'd love to show you that, but it's going to be in Polish, so it's not going to make much sense. But quite recently, we as VizAcademy were part of a bigger project for celebrity, and we had this small event. Basically, we created a couple of showrooms, and then we gone for the Warsaw Expo for this red-haired guy. So most of you don't know him, but I'm just going to tell you about it, because the story is that, yeah, my son and me, so basically we had a one of the biggest rooms out there to have our own stage and to basically promote our not only design but also the whole event. So yeah, I strongly recommend you to check out our Instagram. There were a couple of extra uploads on that topic. And now let's go ahead and see how it looks like once we change the color of our walls. Okay, instant hit. I love it. He's a sweetie. Thank you. Oh my god, it's so nice to have such a positive audience, and I love you guys. Thank you so much. I'm so blessed to have such an amazing people coming to our webinars. I never ever experienced any kind of, well, just good people come into our webinars. I'm going to keep it that way because I find, yeah. Let's continue. Now, this is looking cool, but I think it's a little bit too even, and I love it, but I want to make sure that we have a couple of aces up our sleeves. First thing I'm going to be doing, thank you so much, guys. Why are you so nice to me? I'm just doing 3D. Okay, thank you so much. I'm so blessed with you guys. Thank you. General, let's go to Corona bitmap, and now we're going to be using one of the bitmaps that everybody knows from our previous webinars. That's Dirt 4. That's one of my favorite textures. I love it so much that I use it all the time. And obviously, if we use it directly on our object, we're going to say, hey Mike, you need to now add some kind of mapping to your scene. And that is exactly what we should be doing, but I am lazy and I don't want to remap every element each time I change something in my scene. Plus, I have arches. So if I'm going to be adding a simple, regular, very cool looking, but regular UVW mapping, and I'm going to, even if I set up some kind of easy settings, we're going to see a small issue. There's going to be a texture that's going to be cut in this way, and you can see it here that it's not exactly what you would like to see in most of your scenes. We can adjust the positioning up until it's going to fit the right way, but at some point you're going to find out that this arch also needs the same treatment, this one, so it's going to be a big issue, or at least it's going to be something that's going to force you to spend time on it. If we instead use 3-planar mapping, the 3-planar mapping has the blending in it. So basically, if we start rendering this way, the map, instead of being up and down, is going to be also up and down, left and right, front and back, but it's going to have this blending. So instead of having that line cutting off in this area, we're going to have nice blending, which in the end is going to be much better in our case because it's easier to look at. Now the problem is that there's a lot of pattern that we're going to be easily, let's say, annoyed by. So in this case, I'm going to be adding Corona mapping randomization. So Corona mapping randomization, -1 + 1 element instance plus the randomize each tile. So once I start rendering this, it's going to just simply be less, it's not going to be as obvious as it's normally, well, as it normally is. Let's change the size to 150, so the let's say scratches on the wall are smaller. Let's go ahead and add a base bump as well because we want this to be more aggressive. And now, why do we keep it in the base material? Because we're going to be just adding that as a small percentage amount, like 5% of the material, to just get a little bit of that staining. Just a little bit, not too much. I don't want to be spending time on that. I'm just going to be adding a subtle effect, nothing that's going to be too visible. And again, we're going to be continuing by adding another map, which is going to be Corona round edges, because in such a way, we're going to be able to add something that normally would take us a lot of time to produce, and that is some roundness on the corners of our walls. So basically, we're faking the quality of our model. I don't want this to be too visible, too much. I don't want too much of it, so I'm just going to go for 0.5. Also, since the roughness is set up by 75 by default, I'm just going to go for 0.4, 0.5 to have some of those reflection highlights in the corners, in the edges of my walls. Now, once the reflection is there, I think that 2 centimeters is going to be more than enough, and it really is. It looks perfect for me. Now we can continue towards the next element and next element and next element. The thing you want to work with at first is the color of your object. Then you work with your reflection, and most of the time you're done, because most of the materials will be reliant on 2 factors: base roughness and base color. You rarely add the bump. I just want to have some fun here. Again, we're just going to be continuing. People who are generous and willing to share like you make the world a more beautiful place. Wishing that you attain whatever your heart desires. Thank you so much, guys. It's really nice. Hello, Mike. Where can I find files for floor plans with inspiration images for exercising? It's going to be in the post tab on our channel, but wait for this element finish. Are you using paid maps? No, those are all just regular maps that you can get from well, wherever, but also during our training, because although we do share a lot on our Instagram to get a full dive into 3D world, you can also visit our website, which is VizAcademy UK, and get your hands on what the... Yeah. The browser just decided that, hey, you know what? We're not going to work any longer. Okay, so we go to VizAcademy UK, and you will be able to sign up to the full-fledged course, where we go from basics to advanced modeling, lighting, materials, and all that in form of webinars, videos with live support that's going to help you out throughout the whole training. So that's definitely going to be VizMaker Unreal Pack price. Unreal Pack price. I don't know if we have Unreal Pack prices, but it's probably going to be a part of the plugin. And to be honest, the pricing on VizAcademy Maker, VizMaker is extremely good, because not only it's going to use tokens that are cheaper than on the original website, but also you get them all in one source. Soon VizAcademy VizMaker is going to have a huge update, which I'm really waiting for. So you guys are going to enjoy that. So hold on, it's going to be awesome. Now, as I said, I want to incorporate some of the AI into our workflow. So far, we're doing mostly just 3D clicks, and that's fine. Everything is looking absolutely perfect and so yada yada, but now I think it's time to also add some of the AI. But first, let's create the simplest parquet material ever. Let's just grab a wood texture. Okay, and now we're using the exact same scheme. So mapping randomization, but no 360 randomization, 3-planar map, because I'm going to be adding this on the floor, because that's the next biggest chunk of my scene. So it's going to have the biggest impact on how it's going to be read. And now we're going to just exclude our floor from the override to also allow us to give it some material. Once that's done, I'm also going to be adding 2 additional maps. One is corona color correction, and the second one is corona color correction. Here I'm going to be just adding the base color, quickly desaturate, invert, and by changing the brightness and darkness of this map, I'm going to be deciding how much blurriness my reflection is going to have. So if it's going to be brighter, you can see that we're going to get more roughness, or darker, less roughness, more reflection. So I'm just going to keep it at default because the texture is really looking good as is, and we're just going to be now adding the corona color correct to the material. By that I mean just slightly desaturate, because the texture itself looks already very good, but I want to put it on my floor, which might require a small change, which is going to be just a repositioning XYZ. And oh, forgot about one thing. I also need to go to the amount and put it back on. Yep, 100. And now we've got the floor. Typically, I avoid adding any gaps on my floor, so I'm just going to 0.1 that, thanks to the fact that we're randomizing the thing. We don't have any repetition, and all I need to do is add a little bit of gamma to the color, maybe change the saturation, that's up to our liking at this point, and we're basically done with the floor. The wall material you made is this made by composite map or not? No, it's not. It's just corona bitmap, corona mapping randomization, 3-planar mapping, and that's it. All we needed is black and white map and a little bit of settings. So not a lot, because we just added 5% of our wall, and the rest you can see on your screens that it's extremely default. It's just mostly default, and that helps us save a ton of time most of the time. Okay, so that is cool, but now we need the beams to be in a similar way, or we want to create that out of thin air almost. So if I change this material and apply the same, it's going to work, maybe. But the problem is that those beams are supposed to be kind of worn out. We could do much more to them by applying some modifiers and whatnot, but you know what I think is going to be the best here? Textures. So let's go ahead and create our own. For that, I'm going to finally go to VizMaker, and we're just going to grab the same texture that we're using because it's already set up and it's going to look good regardless. And we're going to go to image editor. In image editor, I'm going to be either going for Flux or Nano Banana because ChatGPT is kind of weak. Let's go to let's make sure that we change this prompt to make this wood look older and a bit damaged. And I'm just going to be making sure to click on that. Let's give it another go with a Flux or other system, because it's going to be nice and easy for us. I'm also going to show you a super duper cool trick that everybody's going to love with the backgrounds in a second, because this is something that wasn't necessarily possible a couple of weeks ago, but now it is, and we need to use it either with VizAcademy Maker or other systems. But long story short, both things are cool. So Flux, whoa, this is looking really bad. Now that's a bad texture. Why is it a bad texture? Mostly because it made a 2 meter okay, 2 meter wide texture. Oh, now that one is cool. The scratches are a little bit out of scale, but I'll take it, and because it's going to look good regardless. So we can just save this image, and we're going to be grabbing it here, textures. Let's go for texture wood 2, and that's going to be Remix. And now with that texture, we can just grab our scene and do a copy of this material. This whole setup, copy. And all I need to do is change that one texture, and in theory, it's going to look good, but in practice, it's going to look awesome. So, okay, let's go ahead and apply it. And now we do have a bit of a problem. This texture is not as nice as it was in a second ago. So I'm just going to blatantly drop the tree planner map, because in this case, it's not going to be needed for me as I don't have any arches and this is just a blocky object. So using UVW mapping is actually going to be beneficial to me. So tree planner map no longer needed. And again, we're just going to UVW map that. So UVW map, we're going to make sure to stretcheroo our box a little bit. So now it's going to be fit, fit, convert to editable poly, please. Let's again deselect everything. It's already looking much better, but I want to make sure that we just apply the right. Oh my god, so that's why. For some reason it had different material. Okay, now chill. We should have everything able and ready, so perfect. Okay, and now we go for UVW map, box, fit, and now we're just going to change the size and width. So height goes, this goes down and this goes up. So we're basically stretching the texture. I know about it, but it's going to stretch it real good, and the randomization is going to follow up. And thanks to the fact and the magic of AI we're going to be using in a second, it's going to look awesome. Now, I think that I kind of desaturated a little bit too much, so we're going to take that back, make it slightly darker, and we're good to go. Perfetto. Now, one by one, we're going to be able... Where's my floor? Did I? Nah, it's looking good. Okay, so at this point, we just need to create the fabric, and we need to, let's say, disable the override on the plants and the carpet. I mean, the elements that we have to work on. Okay, I think we're going to finish the carpet with the material, and then we're going to jump to VizAcademy Maker. So one thing that I really want you to consider is that 1 second, guys, 1 second, short break, just as shortest break ever. Hey guys, just needed to check on what's going on in the house, so thank you very much. And now we're basically at the point I'm going to just turn off the material override, because at this point we're essentially done with most of the materials, most of the elements that we need to. I love this music, thank you. Love that you do love it. It's actually custom made by one of my friends, so I'm just going to let him know that you guys love it. We get a lot of compliments on that, so really glad. Okay, so first of all, we're going to continue by going to Corona physical material, and we're basically making sure that all of the fabrics are aligned. Most of the time you don't need to do much to your fabrics because new Corona has everything, and materials like this are just no longer good. How do you know it's a no pogo? How do you... Wait a second. It's actually inspired by my favorite artist, Pogo. So you knowing him is super cool. I started listening to him like billion years ago. So super cool that somebody else also knows it. Are you going to upload this full video on YouTube? Well, depends if you guys like it, if you guys comment it, maybe we will, maybe we won't. But you know, guys, you know the drill. Please help us reach more people like you that might be interested in this same topic. It's really helpful. You cannot imagine how much it helps each click you make on our video, each time you interact with us. It just helps us. So please, guys, if you can, be a sport and add as much spam as you can. Well, not too much, right? Okay, so basically there was an owl, and then we did drew the rest of the owl. But now let's make sure we also do some justice for the fabrics, because honestly, I think you guys deserve it. So let's make sure to quickly go to Chaos Browser and find some nice fabrics that we're going to be putting on our elements. So the fabrics are the elements we're using the most. So let's go to the materials. Quickly, let's go to the fabrics. Here it is. And now we're going to go ahead and continue. So what are we looking for? We're basically just browsing, like we're shopping. So we're looking for something that's going to be bright-ish, but also, this is awesome, plain white texture. Such a nice choice. So we're going to probably change it a little bit because we will be needing some details on it, but it's not going to be hard. My teacher is also learned from you. Oh, did he or did she? Thank you so much. I'm super glad to hear that, and that's awesome. Did that person join our training, or did it was that person just watching videos on YouTube like you do? It's awesome. It's awesome. Thank you. So some of those maps are going to allow us to go for 3-planar mapping, real world map size, and I'm going to always choose real 3-planar mapping because it's just the fastest. And we're just applying this to our object. Done. Perfect alignment. Now, what we want to do with this type of material is get the selected, and sometimes it's going to be a bit scary because those maps are done professionally, and you can see that there's a lot of cool stuff in here. But the most important part that we're going to be working with is the element that we have here, the sheen value. That's the element we're going to be working with at the moment. So sheen goes up, so we now have that white sheen on our object. Color is going to be basically just grayish, almost white, to emphasize it. And the glossiness is the old version or old way of using roughness. So we're just going to switch to roughness because we want to. And suddenly you can see that the roughness is the exact opposite of the of our glossiness. So we're basically going to go for 0.3. Perfect. Now it looks awesome, and we want to do something very similar to the carpet, but in terms of saving time, I'm just going to add the same material, and now we're going to adjust some small elements. Exposure, ta-da, and 1.5 done. And now let's go ahead and add a couple of things that I said are cool. So you see the background? There is no background. It looks awful. We could have done it earlier on, but this is the moment where I absolutely want to have it. I need to have it in my shot. We could also work with this part of the ceiling, but you kind of want to avoid this too much. So let's go for just one. Let's go for 2, and now this is perfect. Okay, let's render this out for a couple of seconds, and we're going to take this to the next level with VizAcademy Maker real quick. So let's go for, I don't know, this is okay resolution, so we wait. Typical rendering of this kind of image is going to take you from 1 to 5 minutes, depending on the resolution and your hardware. But let's say that it takes a little bit longer and we need to wait. Well, in many cases, you want to then go to some of the cheating methods, and we're going to just go ahead and add the Intel CPU method. And since you already probably seen renders RAM video, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to go ×2 on this image, and we're then going to rescale it back down into the regular. But again, it's not going to be that important. Will I be able to watch this stream in the future on YouTube? AJS. It all depends on how many likes we get. It all depends on how much you're going to be commenting on the video once it's done. And probably yes, because it's going really well, guys, and I love your company here. So keep being awesome. Thank you for that. Hi, Mike. I'm late, but glad to see you working like a machine. Stefan, thank you very much for your kind words. And beep it up, boo, I'm a machine. Let's see. Takes a while. You know what? Screw it. We're just going to go for a smaller resolution, much smaller. We're going to go for NVIDIA method, and we're just going to go for a quick render because I don't want to hold you for too long. Let's be honest, it's just video on YouTube. Once you're going to be doing your shots, you're just going to increase the resolution and wait a couple of seconds longer. Now, we're still going to be re-rendering this again in a second, but just hold on, because first I'm going to stop this. And we're going to take this to Photoshop. What? Yes. First, we're going to be taking this to Photoshop to create something similar to that. File, new. What are your PC specs? My PC specs are kind of odd because, you know, I do all this, but let's say it's Ryzen 9 9950X and 64 gigabytes of RAM. I lied, 128, but it's not the hardware you need. You need at least 3 times less than that. So that's going to be something we have to take into account. So again, we're going to be grabbing the copy of the alpha, and we're just going to be adding this into our shot. So basically, we are going to be applying this in. So one thing I want you to look at now is I am going to be creating new layer, go to the apply new element, left alt click. Oh my God, why did you do that? Sorry, it's just this horrible software just decided not to work correctly on the main screen. Now it should. So left alt, we click in here, and now we're going to be pasting in our mask. This way I'm going to be able to invert that, and this is now my window selection. Since we're in Photoshop, I'm going to just select the alpha. Oh my God, very cool. Thank you. So now with this going into our shot, we're just going to go to generative fill, and we're going to go generate background. Lots of trees. Bright. So this is going to be just hunga bunga method of this, you know, we are just what's the best denoiser to use? Seba, it's all going to come down to you just making the choice yourself, but it always works like this, or at least according to, oh, that's cool, I should have specified summer, but again, it's not kind of cool. Okay, I'm going to stick to this one. This is cool. I love it. So we're going to stick to this one, but now the trick is to hide your main shot. This is now your background, and we're selecting the background and we're selecting the alpha, selecting inversion, and I'm going to just generatively fill the whole rest. So I'm deleting the windows, deleting the rest, and this is again a bit hacky, but this is what I do, and I found a lot of success with this because it's going to generate the whole image. Cool. So this fits my window. And now, even if I move my camera slightly, it's going to be exactly in the position. So we basically decide which one we want, and I think the first one is the one. So we're connecting those two, merge layers, save image as. Typically, you're going to be working with higher resolution images, so it's not going to be as low resolution as it is right now. So blah, 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 you know the drill. So we're going to be able to increase the resolution just like we did in here. So I'm going to save it as background number 2, save it again. And in this case, I am now going to take this to a next level by taking this to a VizAcademy Maker. I know it requires a couple of extra steps, but a background like this, as I said, was low resolution. So we're taking it to image upscaler, making sure to select either the cheapest one, so Pro Upscaler, upscale and sharpen. So upscale. Or we go to magnify precision, and we're just going to go for the highest quality possible. So I'm just going to go for that and click on this. So again, it's going to ×2 the current image, or we can set up the specific resolution in some of those models. This is going to ensure that the quality of my background is absolutely up for the task. Obviously, we're going to have to wait a little bit for those elements to be produced, but it's not going to be a lot of time. We could also do it, let's say, as a broader thing by simply generating it in VizAcademy Maker, but at the same time, we're going to have a consistent background for all of our shots. So I think it's going to be a plus to have a texture like this, highly, highly reusable, super cool quality, and we can now just wait for it to render. Just takes a little bit of time, and I know, guys, I know, it's just taking us a couple of extra seconds. Magnify, come on. But you know what? Let's just not wait. Save image as, and background 2, let's go for 3 and save it. So we're definitely not upscaling the upscaled image because that's going to be preposterous, but we will come back to see whether this background is better than the one. Oh, well, look at that. It's actually better. It actually is slightly better, but this is so cosmetic that I'm just going to keep using the one I'm using right now. And now we just go ahead and create a totally random setup. I mean, not random, I thought this through. We go to Corona bitmap. We select our element, and now we're going to be adding Corona color correction. So Corona color correct, and just like this. And the last thing we do is go for Corona and we select tone map control. This is going to help us keep our texture exactly the way we set it up. So whether we make the image brighter or darker won't matter, because at this point we're going to have full control over every aspect of it. Direct visibility override. I haven't added any glass to the window, so I don't care about it that much. So I'm just going to add this in instance. And now if I start rendering, we're going to see that the exposure still changes how the background looks. Also, it's going to, hello to you too. And now, now let's continue. The one thing you also need to change to not have this stretch is from spherical to screen mode, and this way we're going to have exactly the window view that we wanted. But if we want to have full control over the thing, we're going to keep the exposure tone mapping control off, and we've got exactly the image we selected. So now it's going to work the way we want it, and thanks to the fact that it has those neat colors in it, it's going to also affect our bloom and glare. So this is going to be one step closer to our super duper photorealism. And now let's say that you rendered this in high resolution, you went through all that work, that only took us an hour and so this is not even difficult. So we're going to go for image, let's go for Viz Maker and JPEG. I know it's lower resolution, don't worry, I know, I see. Now we select our image, and hi Mike, how are you? Oh my god! Azim, hello, nice to see you. Lovely thing to hear you. I mean, read your message after all this time, you still come to our webinars. Now, this is where the fun begins, because with VizAcademy Maker, we can now butcher or make our image much better. So first thing you do is make sure that you go to Nano Banana or in the image editor, and we're going to be able to do whatever we want. And the first thing you want to do is just go for one of the prompts, make this more realistic, which is kind of cool. Then we're going to be able to go for the flux and ask it to do the same thing. And honestly, I'm just going to go ahead and do it for the fun. And we're also going to be going for Nano Banana back. And once those two are done, just to keep you guys entertained, let's just go for the image creator. We can go for Flux Content Pro, and we can go for additional shots or additional views. So I'm just going to keep you well, in the clear for about that. But now we're going to create a beautiful close-up shot, but we want to also specify where. Coffee table. So now we're going to have multiple shots out of one image. Oh, it changed the time of a day a little bit. It also changed the season, I guess. It just didn't like what we were offering. So, okay, Flux, thank you very much. We're going to keep the Nano Banana then. And now, thanks to this, we've got a little bit more of realistic textures, we've got better and higher resolution, we've got smoother image. So that's another very important thing, that this is now recalculated and made to look better. We have a couple of particles in here, we've got some volumetric effect, the lighting is looking much softer thanks to it, carpet is looking also a little bit more detailed. Remember, I just used the same texture, and we can now edit each element as per demand. In the drawing mode, we can also add one additional thing that everybody loves. Add people in the red circle areas. This is something that I absolutely love this software for, because you know how adding people is difficult in 3D, and this is basically my favorite thing to do, and I'm just going to do it 3 times because I can, so why not? And now, once we have people, we're going to be also able to look at the close-up. Look at that! It used the same textures, it understood the context, and it zoomed in on all of the elements by adding a couple of its own details. Absolutely amazing. I love this feature. So the close-ups are super duper cool. I honestly think that this is one of those things that just you create shots for free. That's what I call it, free shots. Now, the minus side is that we started with a very low resolution image, so it had to come up with some context because you cannot understand what's there. But if we would be using higher resolution image that already has that, it's only going to be more precise. So each step to quality is going to bring even more quality. So the first step needs to be always on you. I mean, you have to create good quality render, good resolution image with some basic composure, and then you can just remix and remake it as much as you can. Okay, those guys are looking exactly the same. This did not go the way I planned. We could use it, but I would have to Photoshop out those. But then again, it made something really look cool in here. So I will say that this is going to stay with us. We're selecting it, and now I'm going to go ahead and finalize our work before I deliver it to a client. We're going to select see dance because I want to see you dance, and that's so lame. And we're going to just zoom in, move forward. People stay in position. So okay. Let's go ahead and create our video. We can also try Sora, but Sora is sort of problematic in some cases, but you know the drill. Making a video like this in seconds is a dream come true for everybody that wants to deliver photorealistic, beautiful shots to your clients. So starting from scratch, going through the whole shebang of materials, with full control in our scene. Everything we have here is up to our liking, and then we only can go higher thanks to VizAcademy Maker. I think that now, knowing that AI can generate your textures. By the way, I forgot to tell you, AI can also generate materials, but that's going to be probably another video, because at this point, I think we're all done for today. But now let's see it. Let's see it. It's almost all. People stay in place. There must be some kind of explosion out there behind the window. I mean, outside, but. That's one thing I kind of need to always specify. Stable camera, people stay in position, blah, 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 blah. But it's just something that we can also go for in full. By the way, guys, I think this is going to be another success. We're going to see the second video in a second. Just let me tell you about VizAcademy. VizAcademy is an online school. I already told you that. But we teach you not only by pushing you through videos. We teach you by providing you live support, care, and we quite frankly want you to succeed. The thing is that whenever you're going to join our training, you're not only going to be following just tutorials, just videos, just tasks. You're also going to have access to our live support that's going to be conducted by 3 professionals that are with us for many years, and they know the ins and outs of everything you're going to be doing in 3D. We're knowledgeable in basically everything you need to know, so are they. And most important thing of all is that live tutoring is not just something that you're going to have a limit on. You can ask as many questions on our chat as possible, and we're not using some kind of AI chatbot to reply to you. Well, you can activate that option if our support is already sleeping, because we're available to you for 12 hours a day. So that's really a lot. For 7 weeks, that's a lot. Now, also, we conduct 3 webinars per week, which are going to be hosted by me, and we're going to be reviewing your work out there. I hope my students won't mind this, but I'm going to quickly show you some of the results. Oh my God, no. Oh my God. Wait. I think, oh my God, I cannot show you any work. I actually can, but it's an early stage, so give me a second. I'm going to show you some of the results of some of our students. So first is Luca. We already mentioned him on our Instagram. So this image was created from scratch by a person that started with basically no knowledge of 3ds Max. And this is his workflow. You can see that we started with a white render. We went through night shot. We went for the first iteration, but Luca is very ambitious. And as I said, he wanted to make it better. So we reiterated, and we made it better. We made it perfect. So this is what VizAcademy does. It helps you learn and get the results that you deserve and that you want to show to your clients. Something that's going to help you in your career. Another quick example, this is work by Oksana. Again, starting from scratch, amazing results. This is her literal first render with us, and done. That's perfect. And again, they started all of those scenes from absolute zero. Renaud came to us with slight knowledge of 3ds Max. That kind of shows she wasn't starting from zero. She was starting with a little bit of knowledge, but then again, you can see those beautiful, consistent results on all of her work. We also have Camila. Now, this work is something that I would say was super cool because we experimented, we went live and talked about this scene. So basically, all of those results are just by people that started from absolute zero. And also Tehila, why not? We again have a beautiful image. Again and again. To me too. Perfect. So show. I think I don't have your images on right now. So hello, I tried to okay. Okay guys, I think we got it. Now let's go to VizAcademy Maker real quick to see how did the Sora do with our image. And that's exactly what I wanted to see. Perfect. Okay guys, we're ending here. I'm going to be posting the floor plan and all the details that you need to know about this image in a couple of minutes right after we're done with the webinar. But please hold on. Also, remember to like, subscribe, and make sure to follow our Instagram, because that's where we will be letting you know about our upcoming videos. But also, since I have you here, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our upcoming video, because why shouldn't I? Oh my god, my browser is just lagging. Oh my god, this is amazingly amazing. Okay, and so I think nope. Okay guys, before it all blows up, I'm going to just skedaddle. Thank you so much for your attention. We're going to be seeing each other quite soon, because next week it's going to be slightly different tone to what we did so far, and that's going to be our product rendering using VizMaker and all the various tools at our disposal. So thank you so much for your assistance, for your attention, and see you next time. Bye bye.